Hello there. What's going on, everybody? We've got ourselves an Onager preview today, and we're getting a lot of really cool stuff. We're going to look at all of these cards. Do want to remind you guys, 12 days of Life Day giveaways in December, giving away 12 times, and it's going to be a surprise. You're going to have to see what I give away.
At your front door.
This is going to be super exciting. And you just have to be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. You may want to also follow me on social media, on Twitter and Facebook, because some of the winners will also be announced there instead of on here. I'm trying to just grow social media a little bit more, but still lots and lots of giveaways. We'll still be announcing some winners here on YouTube as well. So let's see what we have today. We get a little bit of information about that ignition attack. You can be placing a targeting token. The default is going to be close range. If you've got a super weapon equipped, you can potentially place it at longer range than that. And you'll be firing that ignition attack within the ignition arc, measuring from the token. And that's kind of how you're going to figure out what type of dice you can roll. And that's kind of how you can, if they're close range of the token, you can roll black dice on them, even if they're much farther away from you. Very, very cool. We get a look at the ship cards in better resolution. Especially, we get both ship cards. So we'll start with the test bed. Pretty standard, kind of in the realm of a Star Destroyer. You've got 10 hull, 96 points, so a little cheaper. You can still go up to speed 3. Not the best for maneuverability, but not half bad. We only got 3 defense tokens: a brace, a redirect, and a salvo. So a little bit lighter on defense tokens, but you do get the new salvo, which is really cool. And we learned a lot about that, how it's basically using your printed rear arc to do a return fire on somebody after they shoot you. So that's kind of cool. We're 313 Squadron, Command Squadron Engineering. And we don't have the biggest dice pool kind of going around. For a large ship, we're kind of a smaller dice pool. We're actually kind of better on the sides, at least at range. Kind of better on the sides, So that's actually very, very interesting to see a ship like that. That's kind of, if you're not going to line up, if you're flanked, at least you're a little bit more prepared to deal with somebody who's trying to flank you. Not greatly. 2 red dice is still not that great, but it's something. Now, the Star Destroyer, the Onager class Star Destroyer is actually a little better, at least as far as its regular battery armament. It's got 3 red dice plus a black on the sides, so its sides are actually pretty respectable. You also get an extra anti-squadron die. You're getting a blue and a black. You're swapping out your support team for a turbo laser upgrade, so you can put even another red die on the side if you wanted to. You got a 3rd die in your rear arc, which makes your salvo a little bit better, and you're bringing the price point up to 110. You've got double weapons teams on both of these guys, and here you have the support team, but so you're gaining a turbo laser over here, and then you're also gaining a die in your front arc and in your side arcs. They're all better, but you're actually, from a certain point of view, your ignition arc actually gets worse. You're going to be like your super ultra extreme range. Like if you're doing long range from your targeting, you're actually going to lose dice on that because you only have 3 red here. And also you're going to lose dice on the close. You're going to lose black dice if you're looking for that close range from your targeting beacon. So if you're really wanting to focus on red and or black dice, you're going to lose 2 of each of those in exchange for 2 blue. Granted, this gives you more crit opportunity, or at least more accuracy opportunity, so it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's just going to factor into a different type of strategy or build, and we'll see some options for that when we look at some of the other cards that they're going to show us. Also, only 2 squadron, or upgrading to 2 squadron, so you can do that. So we've got the orbital bombardment particle cannons. It's a modification, so that's something. It's ignition long. That means you can place this at long range of your ship. So this gives you that super awesome ultra long range, like firing across the whole map kind of thing, because you're going to measure from long. So this is basically like range 10, right? Where you can shoot from. It's when you do the ignition attack, you gain the red crit option. Each other ship at distance 1 of the defender suffers 2 damage, and each squadron at distance 1 of the defender suffers 1 damage. So I think this is going to be better for the first version, for the test bed, because you get more red dice, so better chance to get the red crit. And we had seen that one already in the preview, but this one is kind of cool for the composite beam turbo lasers. This one might be better on the full-blown, more expensive Star Destroyer version, because while it is a red crit, the defender suffers a damage. This occurs once for each red or blue crit icon in the pool. So this one you can potentially max out a little bit higher. But I think with these options, they're really going to make the damage control team like more of a must-have, which allows Contain to stop non-standard crits, which is really cool. But these are potentially really nasty critical effects. This one particularly is crazy. But it's ignition medium, so you can only place that token out to medium range, so you can't shoot quite as far. I mean, you can shoot almost as far. This is probably the one of choice, though, because most games, I think this is going to be long enough. But again, we'll have to see. Especially if they're running a Super Star Destroyer, you're always going to have him in range. All right. We've already seen General Ramadi, but they give you a high-res version of him. So all you squad builders out there can start taking these high-res versions, putting them into the squad builders, Ryan Kingston, and hopefully. And then we'll get, maybe we can start doing some test building. General Ramadi looks like the greatest commander in the history of the game, maybe next only to Dodonna. And that now when you're obstructed by a physical object, not a game effect, not like, oh, these attacks are automatically obstructed because of your commander or because of this officer. When you actually have an obstruction, a real obstruction, you can add a die instead of removing a die, a red die, which red dice are my favorite dice because I tend to like those long-range, Architans, for example. I put one of my Gazantis in between, it protects my own Gazanti or Architans from your fire with obstruction, and now it adds an extra red die. So enhanced armament, concentrate fire, Architans with Vader. Well, it can't run Vader. Well, it could run Vader maybe as an officer or something with Ramadi. I mean, it's just insane the amount of dice you can figure this way. I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. TRC maybe, LTT, Link Turbo Laser Turrets. I mean, there's just so many things you can do with General Ramadi, and I've talked about him before, but he's super awesome. Absolutely love him. Gunnery Chief Varnillion, 6-point weapons team, and it's like really like weapons team is a tough slot to compete for. However, I think the Onager is a ship that might not really need gunnery teams, considering you're only going to be able to do that special attack once regardless. After you deploy, place a red die set to blank face on this card. If you're the second player, set it to any face instead. So here's a cool, upgrade that's dealing with your player status, and there's not too many that do that. While attacking a ship, you may spend a die from the attack pool to first off, you have to spend a die. So one die is gone, and then exchange it with the die on this card. Both dice remain set to their current value, so you're not re-rolling any of them. And this is just a way for you to kind of plan for that, like, hey, I'm going to need an accuracy later on. I have way too many accuracy now. I'll spend one of them, swap, put that extra damage in. Like if let's say you're a second player and you set that red die set to like a double damage or something like that. I need the damage now, I need the accuracy later. This one can be amazing, and you have a lot of control over when and how you use it. There's a lot of different scenarios in which this could be useful too. This one would be fun, and I think it would work great with the Onager. This card, Riva Demesne. Okay, Riva. After you are declared as the target of an attack before dice are even rolled, if the defending hull zone, your hull zone, right, because you're being declared, has at least one shield remaining, so if you've got one shield left, at least, you may exhaust this card to ready a defense token. This is going to be amazing for, like, I need to scatter on my Gazanti. Oh, I already scattered once. Oh, but hold on. Let me scatter again, right? That's a possibility. You've only got one brace. Okay, no problem. Also, you have to have a shield left, though, so maybe we'll see more like all shields to maximum being used, things like that. Cataclysm title. After the start of the ship phase, you may spend a concentrate fire token to place your targeting token within your special firing arc within the range of one of your ignition keywords. This one seems kind of weak to me, but we'll have to see, because normally you're placing these after you activate. So you're placing them when it's already too late. This one you place before you activate because it's at the start of the ship phase. So the flexibility could be really great here, especially if your opponents start learning how to outmaneuver you, and I could see that maybe being a thing. But I'm not sure. I feel like it's already so flexible, you don't really have to do much. We get the Sunder title, blue or black crit. Again, I feel like since it's looking for blue crits also, maybe you put this on the Star Destroyer version. You may discard this card to choose and discard an upgrade from the defender. This is insane. This is so good. So good. Granted, it's a one-shot. 10 points for a one-shot. But the flexibility that it gives you, especially if you can get a defensive upgrade. I mean, just be like, oh, you know what? Say goodbye to your ECM. Forget about it. That's really, really good. And since you can, you can do this at potentially extreme range, right? I know they said you can't resolve non-standard crits on salvo, but I don't think they said you can't resolve non-standard crits on the ignition attack. So you could do this for across the board, like turn one, boom, Well, maybe not turn 1, because you're going to place it at the end of activation. So in theory, if you're running the Cataclysm, you could do that long range shot on turn 1. Maybe that's the real benefit of Cataclysm, is so you can have the turn 1 shot. And in a game that's only 6 turns, a turn 1 shot is a pretty big deal. And then we get the Rake Hill. We already saw this one. This lets you do a 0-speed turn. We talked about how to do that. Basically, you set it down, pick up the ship, then adjust it, and then pick the ship back down again. So you're just going to kind of pivot the ship without actually moving. You are still speed 0, and other things, well, you can potentially pivot 2 if you have like something else to increase your yaw. So, yeah, I think that's about everything. I kind of went through it really quick. I think there's going to be some more time needed to digest all of this, but it looks really cool. It's going to be a fun ship. This one is doing, even though I'm more excited about the Starhawk because it's a cooler ship, I feel like this one is doing a lot more new stuff. So this one's bringing some more innovation into the game, whereas the Starhawk is just like the Rebels version of the Star Destroyer, or the Super Star Destroyer, kind of. Wave 8, I can't get here soon enough, though. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below if you're excited about this ship. And what are you more excited to play? I'd love to hear from you guys. I want to thank you all so much for watching. I also want to thank my patrons. If you're interested in supporting the channel, in addition to links to social media down there, there's a link to my Patreon where you can get early access to battle reports. You can get your name in the credits. You can get access to special Discord rewards, as well as a ton of other stuff. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and as always, have a great day.